Greetings, YouTube. So a bill has been introduced in New Hampshire that would help to ban the gay and trans panic defense. And another one has actually been also introduced on the federal level. I think that's S1137, if I'm not incorrect. I'll put some links below. For the, TLDR on what that means is that it's really pretty simple to understand, though incredibly vile, that if a person, and it's almost always a dude. In fact, I do not know of any instances where a cisgender woman has implemented a gay or trans panic defense. It's always cisgender men, straight cisgender men, who feel that if a gay man hits on them, that justifies them murdering the gay man. Or if they find out that a woman they are attracted to is a trans woman, that justifies them murdering the trans woman. Yeah, that's exactly what this defense says. That if a straight cis dude finds out that he is being hit on by a gay man, or he has been finds himself either, romantically entangled with or hit on by a trans woman, that in those situations, it's perfectly fine if he just murders that person. And that's justifiable in the eyes of the law. And in fact, in the United States of America, there are places right now where it is justifiable in the eyes of the law. There are places where the bills have been introduced that would ban that. And there are places that have actually successfully banned that in the United States. I will link to a map. And it's terrifying that someone would consider that to be a justification. Because, let's be honest, how many men in America have been murdered by women because they got hit on? Whereas in America, there have been women who have been murdered because they refused to give their phone number to a straight cis dude. That's happened. You can't really use the gay or trans defense in that situation, though. You're just a screaming misogynistic murderer. But you shouldn't be able to use a trans or gay defense either. Because what are you defending from? If somebody hits on you and you're not interested, you just say, I'm not interested. If they attack you, we have laws about that. If they attempt to rape you, we have laws about that. If they succeed in raping you, we have laws about that. We've covered those bases already. And if you find out that a woman you're interested in is a trans woman, well, then you have to make a choice. Do I continue with this romantic entanglement, or do I back away from this romantic entanglement? It's pretty damn simple. There isn't any complexity there in my book. If that's a deal breaker for you, well, that's sad. But okay, you back away and you move on with your life. And if it isn't a deal breaker with you, okay, then you move forward with the romantic entanglement. It's not rocket science. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't require a great deal of contemplation. I've been hit on by gay dudes or bi dudes, and I've said, thanks, I'll pass. I was never insulted by it. I've had men hit on me here through YouTube repeatedly. Some number of them were rather disappointed when they find out that I was in fact straight, or I'm in fact straight. Yeah, so yeah, they were bummed out, and I said thanks for the compliment, but sorry, I'm happily married to a woman, and I'm not bi or gay. And I've actually had somebody make the assumption that I'm trans because I've defended trans rights, and I'm like, no, I'm a cis dude. That confuses them almost always. The bigots can't quite grasp why you would defend a person's rights if you yourself are not in the same group as them, even though I have a Black Lives Matter sign on the outside of my house, and I've talked about that organization repeatedly here, and as a philosophical concept, I fully endorse it because, as someone once asked the liberal redneck, they said, what do you think about Black Lives Matter? And he said, well, they fucking do. So, yeah, that was, again, a very simple response to a very simple concept. Black Lives Matter. You shouldn't be able to murder gay people and trans people because they're gay people or trans people. Yes, there are a lot of very confused straight cis dudes in the world who feel that if anyone hits on them that they don't want, it's justifiable murder. That somehow if a guy hits on them, it impinges upon their sexuality. How? A guy hitting on me has no more effect on my sexuality than somebody wearing a sweater if I'm warm. Them wearing a sweater if I'm warm has no impact on my life. I'm not being forced to wear the sweater. And the same thing with a trans person. If I found myself attracted to a woman, were I single, and I found out that they're trans, I wouldn't care. If I'm attracted to them, I'm attracted to them. Because I recognize that a trans woman is a woman. I know, a radical concept in the eyes of many people in America that just is earth-shattering for them. And I'm glad that these bills have been introduced both on the federal and the state level, in the state I live in, New Hampshire. And I hope that they someday become law. I would love to see it become federal and we wipe that particular defense concept right out. Just whoosh, wash it away, because it needs to be swept into the dustbin of history. Because that isn't a defense. It is an admission of bigotry, of cowardice, of fear. That your ego is so incredibly, unbelievably fragile that if a man hits on you, it will collapse. Or if you discover that you're attracted to a trans woman, it will collapse. That's sad. That's just an admission that you deeply need some therapy. And of course, an indictment of toxic masculinity. Not that we needed another indictment of toxic masculinity. We've had millions of them in the past. But these laws are particularly vile. That you could just say that, well, you know, that was a gay guy hit on me, it's justifiable that I murdered him. Or, well, I was interested in a woman, I found out she was trans, and by gosh and by golly, I want the right to murder her. Demographically, one of the most oppressed groups in America are black trans women. They're, I think, like 8 times as likely to be murdered than your average American. Why? Because they're black and trans. And that means that in the eyes of some folks, they are doubly, or maybe even trebly, beneath them and worthy of nothing, including life. So, yeah, we need these laws. We need these laws to help protect gay and trans people from straight cis dudes. Because these laws are about straight cis dudes. Like I said, I know of no cases where a woman has ever used this defense. In fact, I would be almost guaranteed that if a woman said, well, this straight cis guy hit on me, so I murdered him, that would not be considered a defense in the eyes of the law. Not that it should, I put out, but yeah. But if a straight guy says, well, this gay man hit on me, so I killed him, in some places in America, that's legal. And it's worked. Less likely now than it was, say, 30 years ago, but it's still possible. And so that kind of possibility needs to be eradicated. We need to make sure that we tell the misogynists and the homophobes and the transphobes in America and the world at large that no, that doesn't fly here. You don't get to use that as a defense. You just get to say no, and you move on with your life. But apparently, that is just too complex a concept for some men.